The Game 2 collapse is a direct reaction to the Game 1 collapse. We'll look at that, the clutch problems that the Celtics are having, and how Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown should react to Games 1 and 2 and being down 0-2. It's all right now on the Locked On Celtics podcast.
Yup. Being down, be ever ready. Recognize the city of champs. Back to back, if I say it, it's stamp. Locked on number 19, the best one, the next one. Juice loose in your pool now for the next run. It's the C's, who else could it be? What they gon' say now? Screaming like JT, Karalis, recap the madness. Every game, every practice. Best daily pod, no cap like Brad Beckett. Clutch like Jrue to KP, tap in daily. Prime time, dapping D White on the sideline. Raining Jays, how it started, raising business, how we finished. Locked on Celtics pod, home of the winners.
Hey there, welcome back to the Locked On Celtics podcast. It's right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. I got you covered every Monday through Friday, plus bonus podcasts like Saturday night after the Boston Celtics go to MSG and will win Game 3. Yes, I'm saying it right now. They will win Game 3. I will be here after they win. I'm telling you right now. So make sure you're subscribed. Watch the show on YouTube. Get into that comment section. Lots of comments. Lots of Knicks fans feeling themselves in the comments, and I get it. So would love to have you jump in there and help me out. I'm John Karalis. I'm covering the Celtics for Boston Sports Journal. I've been covering the Celtics for about 20 years now, and I've written a couple books, so make sure you're checking those out. Today, we're talking about a few different things here, how Tatum and Brown should react to Games 1 and 2, how they should be playing in Game 3. We'll talk about clutch issues in the second segment, but I want to start off by talking about the Game 1, Game 2, it looked so similar, but the shot selection that we were talking about in Game 1, it wasn't the same as Game 2. I think a lot of people, first of all, came out of Game 2 thinking I hear a lot of the same things. They kind of lumped Games 1 and 2 together, and every time the Celtics missed a three-pointer, it was, see, that's what I'm talking about, three-pointers, blah, 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 take too many. And they did take too many in Game 1. I think Game 2 was a reaction to Game 1 in a couple of different ways. I think when you look back at it, there were a couple of plays where the drives should have been kicks. There should have been drive and kick. And I think they just drove. And part of me says there was a reaction to the backlash of all the too many threes talk. And the Celtics, I think, might have let that get to them a little bit. And knowing that some of those shots that they took in Game 1 should have been, drives, but drives, right read, right play. I think the Celtics did a better job of driving in Game 2 down the stretch. First of all, not finishing. Second of all, not kicking. And I think that was part of the problem. The Celtics in Game 1, it felt like they went up 20. The Knicks made their run, and they said, no problem. We're going to put them away. Just hit a couple of threes here. Tatum feels confident in his shot. Everybody feels confident in their shot. I'm going to take this three-pointer. Miss. All right, get back. But every time they missed, the Knicks hit a shot. They did something, and it started to cascade. And the Celtics felt like it was almost like that gambler's fallacy where I feel due. I got to make one of these. And you get into that, well, now I need to make a three because they're starting to get close and we need to get some separation. I think they played a little bit of a mental game with themselves. And in Game 2, it went kind of like the other way. It was almost the bizarro version of the threes that they took were fine. The drives that they took, I thought maybe a little problematic. And Al Horford, he said an interesting thing at the media availability on Thursday, because he said he wasn't thinking about Game 1. He said, but just us squandering a lead away, definitely thinking about that in that moment. Not necessarily thinking about the first game, but definitely trying to kind of salvage that. That went into the mind. We weren't able to handle it and pull the game out. So the direct correlation between, oh God, not again, and the types of shots that they took, I think contributed to that. Horford himself, and you don't normally see Horford try to force some things, but there's one play in particular where he was backing down, might have been Karl Anthony Towns. He went into the post and he's like, I'm going to try to score. I think the Celtics looked at one another and said, oh God, we're not scoring. I have to do something. And that's where you get into trouble. And I think the Celtics got themselves into trouble mentally, and they got away. They got away from the things that work. Now, obviously, there's the make-miss stuff as well, and that plays into it. If you're not making shots, you're going to have the problems of fueling a comeback off of your misses. Look, my analysis, I really try to break things down, and I pride myself on being able to do some things, know the game and kind of break down and see a couple of things that maybe not everybody sees. But, I did my big Q&A on Boston Sports Journal on Thursday, and, I get asked about adjustments. I don't think there are a lot of adjustments to be made here. It's clear your minds and make your shots. Okay, on the YouTube page, I'm going to show you 5 different screenshots that I took. I'll talk you through it on the audio side, but I want people, if you're on the YouTube, or maybe mark it down in your head. If you're listening, open up the YouTube page, go to like the 6:45 mark, where I start to show these screenshots here of the Celtics in the fourth quarter after having gone up by 20. Now they're in the fourth quarter, and the lead is starting to dwindle, and this is their big scoreless stretch. The first one, 7:41, Peyton Pritchard with his feet on the N of the Garden logo, a few feet behind the three-point line, but that's Pritchard's sweet spot. Closest defender to him, nowhere close. It looks like OG Anunoby at the top of the key, so he's a solid 7-8 feet away. Karl Anthony Towns is like 10 feet away. No one around him. That has to be a make. Next one, Al Horford, right corner. The closest defender to him. Al is in the right corner. The literal closest defender to him is OG Anunoby with a foot in the paint. Actually, both feet in the paint on the right block. That has to be a make. Derrick White, about a minute and a half later, wide open, top left corner. Karl Anthony Towns, about 5 feet away and not moving towards him either. No one's around. Derrick White, that has to be a make. Jayson Tatum, right corner. We saw this play. That has to be a make. Right corner, you got Josh Hart, 8, 9 feet away, running towards him. And Tatum it felt like forever. Now on this play, Al Horford is in the middle of the lane. Jalen Brunson has fallen. There is some criticism, and you can criticize a lot of these plays for, hey, maybe you could just drive it. Maybe on this play, you pass it. You have Al Horford wide open. Just hit him with a pass, let him dunk it. That's a bucket. Take that bucket. It's 3 minutes and 40 seconds to go. But also, Jayson Tatum in the corner with all the time in the world. This is a warm-up shot. And the last one, Jaylen Brown, top of the key. No one near him at all. Jalen Brunson is easily 10 feet away to his right. Then there's Derrick White at the free throw line with Karl Anthony Towns on him. This has to be a make. But now also, again, you have options off of these. And this gets into the clutch play. Those have to be makes. At least I showed 5. I talked about 5. You're telling me 2 of those can't be makes at all? 2? And that's 6 points. And that at various times, that puts pressure. Now the Knicks are taking the ball out of the hoop. You're setting your defense. It's a little bit easier to go back, rebound, and do all of those things. I said this on yesterday's podcast. It still holds. These guys are paid a ton of money. Sometimes the analysis goes away, and it's just make your shots, Make your shots. I got a lot of questions. Joe Mazzulla being outcoached. Was he outcoached? I think he's outcoached. They should fire him. Well, no one was saying he was outcoached when the Celtics were up 20. If the Celtics make 2 of those shots, 3 of those shots, no one's talking about being outcoached. The Celtics win that. Not only do they win that, you go up 6 late in the game, you get foul, you play the foul game. That it could end up being a double-digit game just based on free throws. You win at home by double digits. You win at home game 1, game 2, just by making some shots. No one's talking about being outcoached. So it's as simple as that. But they aren't doing it. What is going on in the clutch? I'll talk about that when we come back. Today's show is brought to you by DoorDash. NBA fans, you know what time it is. Playoff season, there are big performances and bigger rewards. DoorDash is bringing the heat with a slam dunk deal for Dash Pass members during the 2025 playoffs. They call it They Swoosh, You Score. Whenever a player drops 50 or more points in a playoff game, Dash Pass members score a free 3-piece crispy tenders combo from Wingstop the very next day. You just got to place a $20 order and you get the 3-piece crispy tenders combo with the code WINGSTOP50 at checkout the day after somebody scores 50. That combo is yours. Crispy, delicious, and totally free. It's valid between noon and midnight the day after somebody drops 50. If you've ever looked at your delivery fees and thought there's got to be a better way, well, with Dash Pass, you get $0 delivery fees and exclusive perks like this one. And, you know, considering how much you might be ordering, you could save a lot over the course of a season. So here's the play. Sign up for Dash Pass to unlock this and more exclusive deals all postseason long next season. Whenever a player scores 50 for the rest of these playoffs, Dash Pass members can grab a free 3-piece crispy tenders combo from Wingstop the next day with a $20+ order and the code WINGSTOP50. That's Dash Pass. Your door to more savings, more flavor, and more ways to win. Terms apply. Thank you so much for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. Go check out Locked On NBA Game Night. We'll be talking about the Warriors and the Timberwolves, the only playoff game. I will be there with Jake Madison talking about that game. So make sure you're subscribed on the Locked On NBA feed. Check it out wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. The Celtics have clutch problems. No doubt about that. They struggle sometimes, a lot of times here. I think the number, I don't have it right in front of me, it's minus 26 this season now in the last 5 minutes of close games. I can't shake the feeling that this season, the habits of the earlier part of the regular season are starting to seep into the playoffs here. Remember last year where the Celtics found ways to close out games. They found ways to win. They found ways to pile up those wins. And even though they won 60 games this year, and I thought like they had turned a corner and flipped the switch and all that stuff, there was a lot of concern in December and January about what the clutch numbers looked like. And I didn't make much of it. I thought they were going to be able to figure it out. It looked like they had figured it out. And, you know, in that first game, again, the first series against Orlando, they won that in 5. They were able to make the plays when they needed to. But, you know, Orlando was not a great offensive team, and the Knicks are. And the Knicks are able to make mistakes into points. They turn mistakes that the Celtics are making into points. And the clutch issue stems from the Celtics' lack of, we talk about poise. The Celtics are impacted by their misses. The Al Horford quote from before, where he says, I was thinking about these misses. The clutch mentality is not about, oh God, we gotta, oh my, we're really hemorrhaging points here. It's about, all right, we scored, they scored, we made a mistake, no problem. Let's come down, let's run our stuff. Let's run our stuff, and let's just be us. The clutch mentality is coming down, forgetting about what just happened, not reacting to just what just happened. The Celtics are in this pattern of, okay, he's not doing this, I have to do it. Jayson and Jaylen are starting to get into trouble like they did 2 years ago. Jayson trying to take some of these turnaround jumpers. I've seen him kind of force things. I also think they're tired. There's also the fatigue factor is setting in at the end of these games. The physicality has jumped. The Celtics are not reacting to it particularly great. It's wearing them down. And late in the game, I think they're losing their legs. Tatum is taking these turnaround fadeaways. He's over-rotating. You can see him kind of like swinging his body around, over-rotating, releasing the ball. He's kind of he finds himself short. He finds himself off. It's just not a fluid shot. It's not a turn, square, fade to create a little bit of space so you can get that look off. A fadeaway is fine. I have no problem with these guys fading away. I've been saying a Jayson Tatum post fadeaway is like the Dirk Nowitzki shot. That's a money shot for him. That has to be the shot that he makes to finish games off. If he had that in his bag, Paul Pierce style, I said this on yesterday's podcast. If he had that Paul Pierce, get to my spot, turn, fade, that's money. You need that in your bag. That's where you shut down comebacks. They don't have a go-to. Jayson Tatum, for all of his greatness, does not have the go-to shot. That one thing where you're like, okay, even like Chris Paul, when Chris Paul got into that mid-range, you're like, yeah, that's money. Certain guys have these shots. It's Kevin Durant. Guys have these kind of like signatures, a spot on the floor where you're like, I'm not going to go there all the time, but when we need a bucket, I can live there for 4 or 5 possessions. And that's where Tatum, I think, needs to take another step. But in these clutch situations, Tatum and Brown especially but the whole Celtics team need to calm down, forget about what just happened, and run a play. And more than that, everybody on the floor needs to be doing something. Tatum is trying to take guys off the dribble. Jaylen's trying to take guys off the dribble. The Knicks are sagging off of guys in the shooters who are trying to space. They're playing just far enough away where they can be a deterrent, but they can also get back. And they're trying to kind of toe that line. It's almost like a base runner on first base in baseball, where he's trying to figure out, okay, how far can I go to draw the throw, but still get back and mess with the pitcher. Now, I know there's a pitch, a limit to how many times you can go over now. I'm an old school guy. I don't really pay attention to much baseball anymore. I remember when you used to be able to throw over there all the time and runners used to really get into the pitcher's head. It's not that old school, but it's the same idea of like, I'm going to go this far and you want to pass it, you can try to pass it, but oh no, I'm going to get back over. So how do you combat that? The Celtics don't run as much off-ball action as they should. We've talked about it on this show before. Run your off-ball stuff. Guys need to be doing stuff off the ball. So Tatum has options. I mean, there's nothing wrong with a little pin down, even switching spots, even something as simple as switching spots. So let's just say Tatum is at the top of the key. He's got the switch onto Karl Anthony Towns, and Jaylen Brown is on his right side with Al Horford in the corner. Well, instead of standing there, just go and set a screen and or just do something to like switch places. So you had Josh Hart, who's covering Jaylen Brown, just turns his head a little bit, just turns, and it's like, okay, I got to look this way and get his attention somewhere else. Get him to turn his head, get him to look, get him to flinch. Do something to occupy the minds of the defenders on either side. So Tatum can be like, oh, boom, go. Okay, now I can go, because that half second of turning and being like, switch, is enough time to bust Karl Anthony Towns, which you should be able to do. You can bust past that, whoever you've got at the top of the key, Mitchell Robinson, off-ball action. This is all part of clutch. So get out of your own heads. Get out of your own heads. I'm going to continue this because this is Tatum and Brown stuff. This is Jaylen Brown, Jayson Tatum. Getting out of your own heads. And Zach Lowe mentioned this. And I want to touch on what Brian Scalabrine said about the being fractured. It's all coming up when I come back. Today's show is brought to you by our friends over at Amazon Fire TV. If you have the Amazon Fire TV Stick 4K device, you have an Xbox. Yeah, it's all the same thing. And no console required. Just grab yourself a paired controller, subscribe, or sign into Xbox Game Pass Ultimate with EA Play included, and you're ready to play. Dive into hundreds of premium titles from EA Sports College Football 25 to Call of Duty, Black Ops 6, and Avowed. As easily as you stream your favorite shows, it's gaming made simple, and it's all on your Fire TV. They have endless entertainment. With 4K streaming, you can watch more than 1.5 million movies and TV episodes from your favorite subscribed services like Netflix, Prime Video, Disney Plus, Max, and more. I travel a lot here for these playoffs, especially. I can grab the Amazon Fire TV stick and bring it with me. And if I want a game, if I have some downtime in my hotel, I just bring my paired controller. I can play video games in my control in my hotel room. If I'm want to watch something on a streaming service, it's right there. You never know what a hotel, what channels they have, what channels they don't. Personalize this stuff. It's super easy. And if you're traveling with the kids, having a console, but not really a console there so they can play and be entertained is great. Head to Amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On to get started. Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscription and compatible controller is required. Available on select devices, including Fire TV Stick 4K, second generation, Fire TV Stick 4K Max, first and second generation, and Fire TV Cube, third generation. Thanks for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. Go to Locked On Knicks. Hey, let's keep up with the enemy. And you know what? Get into their YouTube page and fight. Let them know. Hey, last year, you had a 2-0 lead too. How did that go? Right? The Knicks had a 2-0 lead last year against the Pacers and lost. So let's just not get all worked up yet. There's still time. So go check out Locked On Knicks. Talk your talk over in their YouTube feed. Tatum and Brown are obviously the keys here, but when I talk about the clutch issues and mentality, they have to be the leaders here. And Tatum has said, he said at the media availability on Thursday, quote, "I take full ownership on the way I've played this series. I can't sugarcoat anything. I need to be better. I expect to be a lot better." What does that mean? That means, it doesn't mean just scoring 40, although, I mean, hey, if Tatum wants to be the guy who drops 50 in game 3 and gets you that DoorDash Wingstop deal, that's fine. He can do that. But it has to happen organically. More so, I am focused on the mental aspect of not trying to be any particular thing. You do not have to take over. You do not have to. All you have to do is be you. And truly read the game, give it what it needs. Truly take the right shots, make the right passes, and stop forcing things. Stop saying, I have to, right? Jaylen Brown, stop saying, I have to. Because when you do that, it all happens naturally. You will. But if you force it, I've said this, I don't know how many times. The Celtics get into trouble when they hunt specific shots. It doesn't have to be threes. If you shoot 63 pointers and they're the right shots, I don't give a damn. If you hunt 43 pointers, you're going to get into trouble. That's it. Same thing with shots in the paint. Same thing with certain shots. If you hunt specific shots, over and over. Now, I know I just talked about getting to your spot, but that's a little bit different in the clutch, getting to your spot and hitting, taking, and making a signature shot. That's, I'm talking about good looks, but I'm saying hunting, we have to get to the rim. That's what I'm talking about. We have to hunt shots at the rim, right? I'm not talking about like the one fadeaway shot or, whatever. If you're looking to we have to get to the rim. We have to do that. We have to get there and score. That's a recipe for disaster. What you have to do is get into a set. You have to drive. You have to get into the paint, but then you have to read from there. Where's the help? What advantages do you have? That's what I'm talking about. Tatum can take advantage of a lot. Jaylen can take advantage of a lot. And if Jaylen's knee is holding him back and he can't hit certain shots, then he has to adjust and use the threat, become a screener, become something else. So Tatum and Brown have to play within themselves. The worst thing that could happen is, I know Jayson just had this commercial come out for Superman, tying Superman into the NBA playoffs. He cannot go into this game pulling the shirt open and being like Superman. Now, if he does score 50, people are going to use that GIF all over social media, and that's fine. But going in there with the specific, I am going to drop 50, I don't think that's going to work for him. That's not his game. It's go find your advantages, take those advantages, and just capitalize. In fact, in the clutch, I would rather see the ball. I want to see more of the ball in Derrick White and Jrue Holiday's hands. If I do have a criticism of Joe Mazzulla, I explained yesterday that I'm fine with the timeout. I think the fouling Mitchell Robinson stuff made sense, and that had no real impact on the game. There were no penalty free throws after that. The only thing that did was it took away the foul to give later. So minor impact, not really that much of an impact. But my real quibble with Mazzulla would be more Derrick White initiating the offense, more Jrue Holiday initiating the offense. Get Tatum and Brown some opportunities to catch the ball on the move and attack a defender on the move, turn a corner, set a screen for him, on the catch and get him to turn the corner, make it a little bit easier for him, either of them, that kind of stuff. So they don't have to do it all. Tatum and Brown do not have to do it all. The power of the Celtics is their depth, Derrick White, Jrue Holiday, Al Horford. You have to make shots, but I want to see Joe kind of the two things, more off-ball action and more of Derrick White and Jrue Holiday initiating offense, because they're very good with the ball in their hands, and it takes some of the pressure off of Tatum and Brown and their ball handling, which can get a little dicey sometimes. They don't have to handle the ball quite as much. Put the ball in the point guard's hands. Let them point guard a little bit. My next podcast will be after game 3. So make sure you're subscribed to the show. If you're not, if you're an everydayer, thank you so much for being here. I love having you here. I appreciate it. As I do my blah, blah, blah for half an hour every Monday through Friday. Thank you, everybody who's come up and said hi at TD Garden. If I see you at MSG, make sure you shout out and say hello. And like I said, bonus podcast coming Saturday. Security is a little weird at Madison Square Garden, but I think I'll be able to podcast from inside Madison Square Garden on Saturday. So make sure you're subscribed, watch the show on YouTube, get into the comment section, and let everybody know. Let them know that the Celtics aren't dead yet. This is very, very winnable for the Celtics. And then share the podcast. Tell everybody they should be listening to and watching the Locked On Celtics podcast here on the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day.